everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English, and I am Karen.
Hello everybody, I am Shane, and today we are still talking about a dark brown dog. This is part 2.
That's right.
So in part 1, you remember this dog, the boy sees this dog, and after he's done playing with it, he just goes home.
Exactly.
If you saw a dog on the street or something like that, I mean, I guess not in Taipei, because you don't see a lot of dogs just wandering around the streets.
There are not a lot of stray dogs,
but
no.
Would you ever take a dog home with you and give it a home if you thought this dog was homeless?
Well, actually, when I was walking my dog back in Canada, there was this one time this other dog that we didn't know followed us home. And then we didn't see the owner, but we did see the dog had a collar. So the dog kind of followed us home, and then we looked at the collar, which said the phone number of the owner and also the address. So we gave the owner a call, and they were so happy that, you know, we found the dog. So they came over, they brought the dog back, they brought us some treats, and said, thank you so much, because they thought they lost their dog.
Yeah, once I was on the street, I saw a dog, and the dog it looked like it had a home. So I didn't know, so I took the dog home first and gave it food and water, and I went back to that neighborhood and looked for some lost dog signs. And I did finally find someone was actually putting up the lost dog sign. I said, hey, I have your dog. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. And they tried to give us money, but we didn't accept the money, of course.
But it's like the worst feeling if you ever lose your dog,
I've
right?
lost my dog before, and luckily somebody brought it back to me.
Okay.
It's so scary.
It is. It's like losing your child, right?
Totally. All right, let's get into part 2 and see what happens with the dog and the boy.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
The dog followed the boy to his apartment. It now seemed valuable to the boy, so he grabbed the rope and took the dog upstairs. His family didn't want it, though.
All right, so let's continue the story, A Dark Brown Dog.
All right. I wonder what's going to happen next.
Let's find out.
The dog followed the boy to his apartment. I was right.
You were right. So the dog did follow him. So this dog's probably pretty lonely.
Probably, and then he probably doesn't have any friends, and then he thinks that the boy was kind of being friendly, right?
Yeah, well, even though the boy did hit him, then he did play with him.
Maybe not too hard. Maybe not too hard.
Maybe the dog, I mean, sometimes dogs can really be overexcited.
True.
And it could hurt you when they jump on you, you know? Okay. So he follows him to the boy's apartment. So an apartment is usually a rented room or a set of rooms that is part of a building. And of course, it's used as a place to live.
That's right.
Now, that's usually the way we think about it, at least in America, is that an apartment is something that you rent.
That's right.
Right? But in Taipei,
everyone lives in an apartment.
Everyone lives in
Most
an apartment.
people.
And recently I bought an apartment, but I don't say I bought an apartment in Chinese, right? You say you bought a house, you know? But I told my friends I bought a new house in America, and they said, wait, that's an apartment. You bought an apartment? Why didn't you buy a house?
That's right.
It's a different culture.
Exactly.
So our example here is we lived in an apartment for several years before buying a house. That's what you do in America.
That's
you
right.
rent an apartment and you save money and then buy a house.
So in different countries, you have different cultures, right?
Right.
Okay, so what happens next?
Okay. It now seemed valuable to the boy, right? So the dog started to have some value, right? So he grabbed the rope and took the dog upstairs.
Aww, so I guess the boy really liked the dog as well, right?
Yeah.
It seemed valuable to the boy. So we have this vocabulary word here, valuable, and that is an adjective. So usually something valuable is something that worth a lot of money, but when we're talking about the dog, we're not talking about money. Something that means a lot to you.
Right, and you can see that this thing has a lot of, like, it can do something for you, give you happiness. Right?
Exactly. So not necessarily about money, but a lot of times we do use it for money. For example, the watch is extremely valuable. That means it costs a lot of money.
You know what? Our friendship to me is quite valuable.
It's very valuable to me too.
Really?
Yes.
High five.
That means it means a lot.
High five. Okay, we have another vocabulary word, grab, right? So we grab the rope.
That's right.
So to grab means to quickly take and hold someone or something. In this case, it was the rope, right?
That's right.
With your hand, or it could be with your arms too. So for example, she grabbed him by the wrist.
Maybe she wants to take him somewhere and show him something, so she would grab him by the wrist.
Maybe it's her boyfriend. Oh, look, I want you to buy this nice watch for me.
Maybe. Okay, we have another vocabulary word here, upstairs. And right here we're using it as an adverb. So upstairs basically just means on or to a higher floor of a building. So in our example sentence, it says, when you go upstairs, bring these towels with you. So if you want to go upstairs, make sure that you take the towels. Maybe you want to dry yourself or something like that.
But what if the towels are upstairs and you need to go
downstairs?
It'd be upstairs or downstairs.
That would be the opposite of upstairs, right?
Right. Okay, so continuing the story, his family didn't want it though.
Aww, so you mean the family didn't want the dog, right?
They don't see his value.
That's kind of sad.
Well, you know what? Like what I did to I brought a dog home. We call it a stray dog.
That's right.
A dog that doesn't have a home, we call it a stray dog. So I found a dog and I brought it home and I wanted to try to find its owner, right? But I really liked the dog too, so I wanted to keep it. But my dad said, we cannot have another dog.
Oh, because you already had one, right?
Actually, we had 2 dogs at that point.
Oh, okay.
And I said, that's okay, Dad, we're not going to keep it, but let me just keep it here for a while until I can find its home.
Okay.
My dad said, fine, 1 week. I said, okay. After 1 week, I said, Dad, just give me a little more time. Okay, 1 more week, and then 1 more week is 1 more month, and then pretty soon, I got the dog.
Because your dad also fell in love with the dog.
He started to see the value of this dog because it was so sweet.
See, that's what happens when you spend time with animals, right? Your relationship or friendship really grow.
Right, and the dog will grow on you.
Exactly.
If you say something grows on you, that means you start to see its value and you start to love it, right?
Definitely. Okay, well, how about let's take a short break and we'll be back to find out what happens next.
Okay.
The boy fought for the dog. In the end, his father allowed it to stay. However, his family wasn't nice to the dog. They often tried to hurt it. When the boy was around, he would guard his friend. When he wasn't, the dog learned to hide. The dog loved its friend, although he also hit it sometimes.
Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we were looking at the story, and the story was telling us that, so the dog followed the boy home, right? But the family, they didn't really want the dog. Well, the boy found the dog very valuable. It was very meaningful to him.
Yeah.
But then I guess the family, they didn't want the dog. So what is the boy going to do? Just to leave the dog outside?
Let's find out. The boy fought for the dog. In the end, his father allowed it to stay.
Hey, that's what happened to your story, right?
Right. I kind of fight, but I didn't really fight for it. I just kind of tricked my dad. But I did fight for the dog a little bit. So when we say to fight for something, that means that you try to fight in support of that thing. So in this situation, you're trying to get your father
To agree.
to agree with you and to support your decision to keep the dog. And we could mean this also, like if you're a soldier or something, you might fight for your country.
That's right.
But in this kind of a situation, what you're trying to do is convince somebody to do something.
That's right.
So for example, we could say, I think we should fight for higher pay.
Oh, that's right.
Right? So I think we do a really good job. We should get paid more money. We should fight for it. But we're not going to really fight.
So then Shane is going to go to our boss and he's going to say that, right?
I was hoping you would do that. No? Okay,
I think you should do it.
Let's continue the story.
Okay, and the story continues by saying, however, his family wasn't nice to the dog. they often try to hurt it.
Oh, no.
That's not nice and not kind at all because they never wanted it in the first place, right? So they often try to hurt it. Oh, no.
Yeah, well, some people are just not very friendly to animals.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have the feeling this story, is not a modern story, right? It's a story a long time ago. And it's really only recently, in maybe the last 20 or 30 years, that people really started thinking of animals, like especially cats and dogs, as almost the same level as humans.
That's true.
Right? We take such good care of them now, and it's pretty rare to see people hurting an animal. Right? Okay, let's continue this story. When the boy was around, he would guard his friend.
So when he was around, that means around the dog, right? So he would guard his friend. So to guard means to protect someone or something from danger or attack, because we know that the family sometimes would try to hurt it, right? So of course, he would step up and try to protect his friend. They would guard his friend, right? So for example, the soldiers are guarding the president. That means they're protecting the president.
Right.
When he wasn't, the dog learned to hide. So dogs are actually really, really smart. They know who really loved them, right?
Yeah, and if it sees it, even sometimes dogs will, not just sometimes, always, they can really feel your energy. So if you have like a negative energy or you're showing kind of like anger or even fear of a dog, that makes them actually feel fearful too, right? And can also make them angry. So in this case, the dog just got scared because they could feel that negative energy.
Exactly.
Or they already learned, if I stay here, I'm going to get hit. So it went and hid away. That's so sad. So continuing, the dog loved its friend, although he also hit it sometimes.
That's something I don't understand. I mean, you don't have to hit a dog, right?
Of course not, yeah. But I think like especially these days, people have really learned you really shouldn't hit your companion animals, like dogs and cats, or really you shouldn't hit any animal. But I think maybe a long time ago, that was a way, like people hit their kids still, right?
That's true.
When you want to discipline them, you will hit them to try to make them change what they're doing.
Exactly, but I think there are different ways that you can go about doing this, right?
You should never use violence to try to change somebody's behavior.
That's right, and we do have a vocabulary word here, to hide, because the dog learned to hide from the family that were hurting it. So, to hide basically means to go to or stay at a place where you cannot be seen or found. So, for example, she hid under the bed. Maybe she's scared of something and then she went to hide under the bed. So hid is past tense for hide.
Yeah, and I don't think hiding under your bed is a really good hiding place.
No.
You see that a lot in like movies. Someone who wants to try to hide and they're in their bedroom, they go under the bed.
And that is the first place.
Everyone knows you're probably going to hide under the bed. So I don't know where the dog hid, but dogs are pretty smart. Hopefully it found a good place.
That's true. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today, but we will learn about what happens next in part 3.
Right, I can't wait to find out.
The dog followed the boy to his apartment. It now seemed valuable to the boy, so he grabbed the rope and took the dog upstairs. His family didn't want it, though. The boy fought for the dog. In the end, his father allowed it to stay. However, his family wasn't nice to the dog. They often tried to hurt it. When the boy was around, he would guard his friend. When he wasn't, the dog learned to hide. The dog loved its friend, although he also hit it sometimes.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 apartment 名词，公寓。I lost my keys to my apartment. 我弄丢了我家公寓的钥匙。下一个单字 valuable 形容词，有价值的，宝贵的。This experience is valuable to me. 这个经验对我来说很珍贵。下一个单字 upstairs 副词，往楼上，在楼上。I went upstairs and took a nap. 我上楼小睡了一会。那么它的相反 downstairs 就是副词，往楼下，在楼下。最后一个单字 guard 动词，保护，守卫。 Two dogs guarded his house. 两只狗看守着他的房子。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 A follows B to place. A 跟着 B 到某地。Follow 指的是跟随的意思。我们来看看这个例句。I followed the nurse to the doctor's office. 我跟着护理师到医生的诊间。下一个文法 A fights for B.A 为 B 起而抗争 ，fight 表示抗争、战斗，它的三态是 fight, fought, fought。我们来看看这个例句 ：The countries fought for control of the island。这些国家为了这个岛屿的控制权而战。最后一个文法 in the end， 最后，我们来看看这个例句 ：We were thinking about eating Korean food, but in the end, we ate French food。我们打算吃韩国料理，但最后我们吃了法国菜。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见喽，拜拜。
Hi everyone, I'm Vivian.
I'm Josh.
And today we're playing Word Drop. We have 3 words or phrases that we have not seen on these cards, and we have to work them into a conversation as naturally as possible. You ready?
I am.
Okay. So I have 2 lovely dogs at home. One is a Shiba and one is a Boxer mix, and they are the love of my life.
Okay.
I take them walking, we do everything together. I take them on every adventure that I can. But one thing that is really annoying to me is that when they start barking when someone rings the doorbell because they think they're on guard.
Oh, yeah. Pets can just get out of control sometimes. My first pet actually was a rat. It was a white rat named Snowy. Because my sister, she used to breed rats and sell them at the market, which was quite entrepreneurial of her at the time. She might have been like maybe 12. So she's going down to the market and selling rats to people in the street. And this is a true story. So from that age, I was probably about 6. Yeah, so a rat was my first pet. But now in Taipei, I don't have any pets because I can't have any in my apartment.
Yeah, that is really sad that you can't have your rat pet in your apartment in Taipei. To me, I feel like having an animal around is something that is very special, and having that companionship and the unconditional love that comes from an animal, to me, that is so valuable.
Having animals is pretty great like that. And I think it's probably a reason why more people want to have pets and animals than they do friends. It seems to be a growing trend. People tend to have less friends, more pets. It used to be the more friends you had, the more sort of popular you were. But anyway, I've got to head upstairs after this.
Okay, yeah, we'll work on that. Yeah, so I take my dogs on walks every day, and in the end, they always want to keep walking more.
I'd probably do the same if I was a dog, but you know, I was born a human, so I can't do that. But I can definitely relate when I see people in the park. Sometimes the dogs are pulling them. You know, you're meant to take the dog for a walk, but it's almost like the dog is taking them for a walk. And some people love their animals so much, they're willing to fight for their pets. I reckon that's great.
That was really hard.
Yeah.